Hey, welcome. I'm Laura of Namasturm Yoga. This is going to be a deep stretch and twist yoga practice that you can do right at home with me. Go ahead and unroll your yoga mat. We'll get started. We're going to start sitting today, so see if you can come to an easy cross-legged position. If you need to sit up on something, whether it's a block or a folded up blanket, feel free to do so. Take your hands to your knees. Maybe take a sec to really roll your shoulders back and down. We're going to spend some time sitting today. We'll also come to our knees and do a little bit of stretching work from there. But we're going to start with a breathing practice. This is going to utilize an ujjayi breath, but this is called three-part breath. And I'll explain it first and then we'll go into it for just a few rounds. The idea of the three-part breath is that you're taking your breath in three parts. So you can think of your torso like a glass of water perhaps, and the breath is going to come in from the bottom first and then to the middle and then to the top. So like your belly and your rib cage and your chest. And then as you exhale the breath, it's going to go the same way downward. So from your chest to your rib cage to your belly. This is really more of an imagistic process, so it's not necessarily that the air is going exactly where you are imagining it going, but it is going to be something that we can use as a little bit of a meditation to get into our practice here. So hands to your knees, close your eyes. Slightly narrow the back of the throat so you're working with ujjayi here. And then find a count that works for you, a steady, even 3 count, and inhaling from the bottom to the middle to the top, and then exhaling the top, middle, and down. And we'll repeat this a couple times. Going. I'm going to add in one more suggestion if you'd like to try it. You can also take a moment at the end of your exhale to keep the breath suspended, and at the end of your inhale to keep the breath retained. So if you want to add in the retention and suspension, you can count those for maybe a count of 1 or 2 or even a 3 count, so the same count as you inhaled and exhaled for. So we'll try a couple more rounds with that option to suspend and retain breath. Taking one more round here. And then after you complete this next round, just let yourself move to a steady, consistent, even ujjayi breathing practice. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose with a lightly restricted throat, creating that little friction, which creates a soft whisper sound. And the breath is rhythmic and even. And then once you've come back to that point, go ahead and open the eyes. We're just going to flow a little bit here from seated. So on an inhale, we're going to reach the arms out and up. And as you exhale, we're going to twist to the right, taking the left hand to the right knee and the right hand behind. And then inhale, reach the arms back up. And we're going to twist the other way on an exhale. So over to the left, right hand on left knee. We'll go back and forth a few more times. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, twist to the left. Inhale. Exhale, right. Following your own rhythm here. Inhale. Exhale, twist to the left. And then this next time we're going to hold our twists. So inhaling up. Exhale to the right and hold for a couple of breaths, turning over your right shoulder. Stay with your breathing rhythm. And then take an inhale to reach the arms up again, and exhale this time to the left. Hold. And then move out of that. We're gonna uncross the legs and take the soles of the feet together. We're coming to basically, this is more like a diamond pose than a full Baddha Konasana where we pull the heels in. So we're gonna keep a wide diamond here and just allow our upper body to fold down. And you may not go too far, that's okay. If you'd like to, you can even wrap your arms underneath your lower legs and maybe reach around for the feet if that feels nice to you as you sink down. And then just breathe, so you can stay with your Ujjayi breathing here. Come on up carefully. Let's go ahead and transition to tabletop. So take your feet underneath you, take your hands to the floor with the fingers spread, shoulders over wrists and hips over knees, and let's take some cat-cow stretches here. So really starting to think about warming up the spine, following the breath though, so continuing to work with that Ujjayi breath. Inhale to cow pose, exhale to cat pose. Cow pose with the swayed back, shoulder blades draw together. Cat pose with the arched spine, your shoulders can pull apart so the upper back rounds up. Inhaling and exhaling. Follow the pace of your breath, so you may not be moving at the exact same rate as I am, and that is fine. And then we're just gonna add in a little bit here. So we're gonna add in a child's pose. So after your next cow, as you start to round the back, also drop your hips all the way to your heels, let the arms lengthen out. Inhale, back up to cow pose, and exhale, child's pose. So just adding in this slightly deeper version here, but keep flowing. One more time, and then we'll hold in child's pose for a few breaths just because it is a nice feel-good pose. Let the arms extend and you can relax the forearms on the floor. Knees can stay together, or if you want to take them a little wider so there's space between them for your belly to sink down, feel free to go there. Let the forehead drop to the floor. And then coming back up to tabletop. We'll do a few more variations from here. So we did cat-cow, which is just up-down, but now we can go side-side as well. So see if you can bring your right ear toward your right hip, kind of turning your torso into a C. And then we're gonna go the other way. So you'll take your right or your left ear toward your left hip. And those feet behind you, I find that mine tend to kind of like want to wag as a tail, counterbalancing. So let that happen if that's what happens for you. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. Find a connection to your breath here. So maybe you're inhaling to come through center, exhaling as you curve. Inhale and exhale. Or if it makes sense to take it a little quicker, you could just go one side right into the other. And it can even start to become a little bit of a quicker movement. It feels good, or you're almost like shaking out your tail here. And then come on back to center, and we're gonna do a little thread the needle twist. So we're gonna take first the left arm and just slide the back of the hand right underneath the right arm, right behind the right wrist. Keep extending the arm until you can bring your left ear and shoulder to the ground. The right elbow will need to bend. The hips are still kind of in the air. Let yourself twist here. And we can use our right hand to help us in a couple of ways. So the first might be plant your palm in front of your face and just push down with the elbow right over the wrist so that you're sort of turning yourself open. If you feel like you want to go even further, instead of pushing your right hand down, think of pushing the back of the left arm down, and then the right arm can go up into the air, and then the weight of the arm leaning back is helping to increase the twist here. Breathe. And then finally, I know some people like to bind this one. So you just rotate your arm and bring the left hand behind you, kind of over by your left hip, or maybe even grabbing for the top of your left thigh. And then to come out of that, take that right hand back to the floor to support you. Come on up, and we'll twist the other way. So this time the right arm is going to thread underneath the left one. Back of the hand against the floor. Keep extending. It'll go off the mat. Bend your left elbow to help you drop your right ear and shoulder to the floor. And then give yourself some time, but try to take the same arm variation as you did on the first side. And then coming out of that, left palm to support you, come back up to tabletop. From tabletop, we're gonna go ahead and work just a bit of balance here. So we're gonna take the right arm out and the left leg out together. Do this on an inhale, and then see if you can just exhale, take the hand and knee back to the ground, and then the other side. So opposite, hand and leg, extend, inhale. Exhale, back to the ground. Inhale, extend out. Use your gaze to help with your stability. Inhale. Exhale. You should feel a little bit of core engagement here. One more time each side. And then we're going to hold the next time we do this. So this time, right hand out, left knee extends, and you can either hold here and try to stabilize, or if your balance is good and you want to take a little bow stretch, bend your left knee behind you, reach back with your right hand, and then pull up. So move the heel up away from the hip to give a little stretch to that right shoulder. Breathe, find balance. If you get a little wobbly and need to come out and then try to come back into it, that's okay. So anytime we're working balance, it's a practice. It does not need to be perfect to be worth doing. Take your hand and knee back to the floor and we'll switch sides. So left arm, right leg, reach and extend, and you can just hold here. If this is enough for you, stay put, stabilizing through the core. If you want to take this little back bend, bend your right knee, reach back with the left hand, and then pull up. The tension that we create by pulling the heel away and stretching the arm long behind us actually helps with the stability a bit. So make sure you feel like there's a little bit of tension if you do have that foot. And then let go of your foot. Take your hand and knee back to the floor. Maybe a couple more cat-cow stretches if you want to. Checking back in with the spine here. And then we're gonna take the knees out as wide as you can take them. As wide as the mat, and you might even turn to the side if you need to take the knees even wider. But make sure they stay padded. We're gonna go to a little bit of a frog pose here. So the aim is to drop the hips back and also drop the chest down. So it's almost like a really wide-legged child's pose, but instead of just putting the head on the floor, we're actually letting the chest aim for the floor as the hips also reach back for the heels. You can walk the hands out, maybe keep the gaze up a little bit, and just feel that stretch deep in the hip sockets. See if you can take about 2 more breaths here. And then coming up carefully, really use your hands to help you, supporting yourself as you come on up. Bring the knees together and let's sit back on the heels in hero pose. Come on up. Take the shoulders back and down. And we're just gonna do a really nice simple twist from hero. So take your left hand over to your right knee. The right fingers may have a hard time actually reaching the floor, but see if you can. If not, you can just, put your hand wherever it falls. So if it's on your hip or something, that's okay. Turn the shoulders, turn over your right shoulder, breathe. And then just switch your twist. So right hand to the left leg, left fingers behind, roll your left shoulder back and turn towards it. Come on back to center. We're going to keep our shins on the ground and our feet extended behind us. We're going to start to lean back, bringing the hands to the floor behind us. This is a little bit of a stretch for maybe your quads, but actually now we're going to try to target our shins. So if it's possible, see if you can lean into your hands and start to lift your knees so that you feel like you're stretching the shins and the tops of the feet. Breathe. If this is too intense, don't lift the knees so high or you maybe just won't even lift them at all. This is actually kind of a tricky area to target, the tops of our ankles and shins. So I do like to do this stretch every once in a while, just to stretch out the fronts of the low legs. Slowly take the knees back to the ground, and we're going to come up and take a camel pose for a little bit of a back bend practice. Bring yourself to your knees with the hips over the knees. The knees are about hip distance apart as well, so they're not right together, but they're not wide either. Take your hands behind your back, and you can work with your hands right on your waist here the whole time if you want to, but if you like reaching for your heels in camel pose, maybe tuck your toes under so those heels are a little closer and easier to access. lift the heart. Your chin can stay tucked towards your chest, or if you want to, let your head fall back to your shoulder blades, and then possibly reach for the heels. If you reach for the heels but you don't find them, bring your hands back to your waist. Breathe here. Hips stay over the knees. One more breath. Support yourself coming up. Head comes up last if your head was back. Okay, extend the toes behind you, and let's come back to the floor to a seat. So we're gonna lean into our left hip, drop the left hip to the floor, keep the left heel tucked in, step the right leg over for another seated twist here. So the legs are crossed, but try to get both sit bones to the ground. Take your left arm and wrap it around your left knee, or take it outside of your knee if you can, turning over the right shoulder. There are a couple of binds you can take here, so if you like to bind, feel free to do that. One would be to thread that left arm underneath the left or the right leg and then reach the right hand behind and clasp hands. The other is to kind of take your left arm and move it past the right knee and reach for your left foot, and then just hold the foot as you turn over your right shoulder. And then carefully let yourself untwist. And we'll just recross the legs. So we'll go the other way. Take the right leg under and the left leg over. This left foot is actually on the floor. Take your right arm around the knee or past the knee to twist. And again, if you want to take a bind here, one would be to thread the right hand underneath the left and clasp your hands. Or you could see this one I like this one a little better, but it might be a little more challenging to figure out. The right arm is past the left knee, and then the hand kind of comes around to the front of the right knee, and then you can reach for your left foot. Turn over your right shoulder. And then untwisting. Come on back. We're gonna take the left leg out and we're gonna pull the right leg up towards us. So we're gonna do, this is kind of a little baby cradle stretch, I sometimes hear it called. See if you can bring the sole of your right foot all the way up to your right bicep. Wrap the left arm around, and then the right arm comes around. So around outside of the knee and the leg. You can kind of lock your fingers and then just roll this leg around. You can rock it back and forth, so thus the baby cradle. Or if you want to just kind of roll and rotate and really open up your hip joint in there. This is the goal, is to kind of get that hip open, things moving in there. The next stretch we're gonna do, and we're gonna start with the right leg stacked on top, is we're gonna do a double pigeon stretch. If this is too intense for you, if your knees give you trouble, I'm gonna show a couple of alternatives. I'm gonna show those first really quick, just so that if you know you need to do those are gonna be fine. So the first option, the first modification would be just bend your left knee and bring that ankle above the knee to the thigh, and then you can kind of pull in. The second would be to do the almost exact same thing but on your back and then reach behind your thigh. Yeah, but if you can take the full stretch, what you're gonna do is actually lay the left leg down with the shin across, it doesn't matter which way you're on the mat, but you want it to be kind of parallel, so linear here. And then you're gonna stack the right shin on top of the left. Ideally, the right foot is above the left knee and the right knee is above the left foot, but there may be a gap between those 2 points, and that's okay. But the heels are not tucked into the body, which is why it could be challenging for your knees. And if you find that, take one of the other 2 versions I showed you. And then we're just gonna lean in and we're gonna hold this stretch for a little while. So don't rush, don't push, don't force. Just see what happens. This can be intense, especially if you have any tightness in your hips, which is not uncommon. Breathe. Use your Ujjayi breath here to help you out. 2 more breaths if you can. And then slowly walk the hands in to come up. If this stretch was intense for you, come out very slowly and gently. And then uncross the legs, and we're gonna do the other side. So the right leg is gonna come out, and we're gonna work that little baby cradle stretch with the left leg now. So the sole of the left foot is gonna move kind of up by your bicep. Take your left arm all the way around the leg. Try to clasp your fingers together and just a little rock and roll with that leg, opening up the hip joint. If it feels good, you can even push the foot into the arm and move it around. Maybe take the leg higher, lower, just working around in that area. Now, if you're gonna come directly to double pigeon on this side, you can basically just bend your right knee until the sole of until the shin is horizontal, and then lay your left leg on top. If you need a variation, again, the right foot can just stay on the floor, cross the left leg onto the thigh above the knee. Or if that's too challenging, you could even do this on the back, and this gives you a little bit more ease and relaxation and less gravity pressure to have to deal with. If you're gonna take the full pose though, again, we wanna try to stack foot over knee, knee over foot, and then just lean in and make sure you're breathing. You'll notice as you continue to deepen this that space between your left knee and your right foot might start to close, but don't try to push it down or go faster than your body is ready to let you go. Two more breaths. And then come up with control. Nice and easy, lean back and uncross your legs. Take the legs out. Give them a little shake here. Loosen up anything that's going on in there. And then we're gonna come to Upavishta Konasana, so a nice wide-legged seated position. So you might need to turn on your mat, however you need to do. So maybe you wanna keep your heels on your mat. And we're gonna start with angling the body to the right leg. Let's keep both feet flexed and the legs a little toned here so we can stabilize and get a nice stretch out of this. We're gonna turn towards our right leg and fold down towards it. If you have a very hard time not rolling back in this position, you could sit up on something. So again, a block or a folded blanket. Also, the other option would be to just tuck your left foot in. So sometimes it's a little more stable with your left foot tucked in. So that would be another modification you could take to help you so that you actually are able to lean forward. You don't need to go far. Just go as far as your body needs to get a stretch. However, as you spend a little more time here, you might, deepen. So the longer we hold a pose, the idea is the deeper we go. We don't need to work hard. We just need to breathe and allow for that depth to start to happen. Now that you've maybe found some more depth, we're going to take the right arm to the floor inside of the leg. If you have a hard time getting that arm to the floor, and it might be, closer up to your thigh, but it might be by the shin, you can put it on your leg, but see if you can actually let the forearm rest down somewhere. And then you can take the left arm up and take a bit of a twist here. Let that arm move back behind you to open the chest. If you've got the arm on the floor inside the leg, I like it because you can actually kind of give a little pressure with the arm against the leg to turn you open some more. Keep both legs engaged and toned. And then we're gonna turn this into a side stretch. Still keeping this sense of opening the heart, we're gonna take that top arm overhead alongside the ear to stretch the left side of the body. Some of you might find you can easily reach the foot, and that's fine, but we don't want to roll down to get the foot, so it really is still a stretch for the side of the body. Breathe. And then floating up. We're gonna go to the other leg. So angle your body toward the left leg, and you're kind of already facing there because we were turning open. Keep your right leg toned and engaged over there as an anchor, and then fold down toward the left. Again, if you took a modification on the first side, you might need to tuck your right foot in or make sure you're sitting up on something comfortably. But just let yourself give in, and we are gonna be here for a number of breaths, so we don't have to rush to get deep or pull ourselves. If you enjoy reaching for your foot, you certainly can hang on here, but you don't have to, and there's no particular need to do so. I actually sometimes like to use my hands on the ground because I think it helps to keep me a little bit more angled towards the leg and just a little more stable. Let's go ahead and open this one up. Take your left arm now inside your leg, or you could take it to the top of your leg if you have a hard time getting it all the way to the ground. But if you can, move it to the ground and then open that right arm up, open your heart. So to the front, but maybe even like you're thinking of opening to the ceiling or the sky. And then you can rotate that top arm in to move to the side stretch, but don't close it down with the chest, right? So keep a sense of opening even as we now extend along the right side of the body. And you can almost think like you're trying to roll the spine to your leg as if that were actually possible, but just thinking in that direction. And then floating back up. And we've got one more stretch, which we're just gonna do straight down the middle here. So you can use your hands in front of you to slowly walk yourself out. Keep the legs toned. There's a couple of other arm variations you can take if you'd like. I know it can be fun to kind of catch the big toes, pull back a little bit against those toes, and then let the chest lead you down. Or if you want to get a shoulder stretch in here, this might take you a little deeper, so make sure your legs are really strong and stable and anchoring you. You can interlace the fingers behind the back, pull your shoulder blades together, and then as you let your heart drop toward the floor, the arms might move up and over. If you can get your head to the floor, do let it rest there, but don't try to push or force it down. If you're working with the arms behind the back, having the head on the floor actually is almost like a safety measure so you don't go too deep. It gives you a little bit of a break. Take about 2 more breaths here. And then coming up carefully, slowly, easily. Let's take the legs back in and cross them. I actually do encourage you, if you have a few extra minutes, to come to your back and take a little Shavasana time. But we're going to close from here. So go ahead and bring your palms together in front of the heart. Tune back into your breath. Take a sec to actually notice how you're feeling. And we'll end this practice with a simple bow forward. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining me in my home and sharing a practice. Namaste. Wonderful. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit notifications. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them for me. I will certainly take a look, and I will see you next time. Namaste.